Today's question, when Saul asked the witch of Endor to contact Samuel, was it really Samuel that was brought up or something else, like a familiar spirit?
I guess we should look first at the story.
Yes.
And then see what it says. So 1 Samuel 28. In the story so far, so we have the Philistines are coming up against Israel to fight. Saul has his army on one side of the mountain, and then the Philistines are on the other side. He sees their army and says he's afraid, that his heart trembled greatly, and so he's seeks the Lord, inquires of the Lord to see what God has to say. Seeks him through all the ways he's supposed to. It's dreams, Urim, or prophets, but does not get an answer. And then does what he's not supposed to do and seeks out a woman who is a medium. And it says tells his servant to go and find this guy or this lady. And it says, the servant says, behold, there is a medium at Endor. And so I'm going to start reading in verse 8.
So Samuel is dead. The prophet
Samuel is dead at this point. That's good. That's a good point to make. And it's helpful maybe to realize too that it says earlier in verse 3 that Saul has actually put the mediums and the necromancers out of the land.
Okay.
So which is what he's supposed to do.
Yep. But he missed one.
But we're going to see that didn't pan out maybe how it was supposed to. So he learns though that there is a medium at Endor. And so we'll pick up verse 8. It says, so Saul disguised himself and put on other garments and went, he and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, divine for me by a spirit, and bring up for me whomever I shall name to you. The woman said to him, surely you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and the necromancers from the land. Why then are you laying a trap for my life to bring about my death? But Saul swore to her by the Lord, as the Lord lives, no punishment shall come upon you for this thing. That's just funny to me.
Yeah.
Up to that point.
As the Lord lives, you can do this bad thing.
It's like, yeah, you'll be okay. Trust me. Verse 11, then the woman said, whom shall I bring up for you? He said, bring up Samuel for me. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice. And the woman said to Saul, why have you deceived me? You are Saul. The king said to her, do not be afraid. What do you see? And the woman said to Saul, I see a God coming up out of the earth. He said to her, what is his appearance? And she said, an old man is coming up, and he is wrapped in a robe. And Saul knew that it was Samuel, and he bowed with his face to the ground and paid homage. I think it's helpful to read the next paragraph.
I do.
All right, we'll keep going. Verse 15. This is what Samuel says. So Samuel said to Saul, why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? Saul answered, I am in great distress, for the Philistines are warring against me, and God has turned away from me and answered me no more, either by prophets or by dreams. Therefore I have summoned you to tell me what I shall do. And Samuel said, why then do you ask me, since the Lord has turned from you and become your enemy? The Lord has done to you as he spoke by me, for the Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor, David, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord and did not carry out his fierce wrath against Amalek. Therefore the Lord has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, the Lord will give Israel also with you into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons shall be with me. The Lord will give the army of Israel also into the hand of the Philistines.
Ooh.
So, Dave,
So that didn't go great.
Is this actually
Is
Samuel?
this really Samuel?
Or what was the familiar spirit?
A familiar spirit, yeah. I'm convinced it was Samuel for a few reasons. And you may have a few more. So the text calls him Samuel, at least in verse 15, rather than Saul calling him Samuel or the woman calling him Samuel. 15, then Samuel said to Saul. Someone might read that and say, okay, maybe it was just accommodating language. But then what what Samuel says to him verifies that he's really a prophet. He does things only a real prophet can do. In this case, to give a real message from the Lord, calling him to come under the lordship of the Lord and predict the future. So he tells him, tomorrow you and your sons are going to die and be with me. And that is exactly what happens the next day. Saul dies and his sons die too. So his house and dynasty are over. So the text presents him pretty clearly as Samuel. And so the difficulty isn't really with discerning what the text says, I think. It's with coming to terms with what the text says, that it actually worked. This medium, I guess she's called, a medium is somebody who can contact the dead, or at least claims to contact the dead, which was outlawed in Israel. They're not allowed to do it. She tries it and it works, which I think gives us a lesson that we Americans we're quick to believe half of, but not the other half. The lesson is that stuff is not necessarily non-existent.
Right.
That stuff is real, but don't do it. So the whole story is a cautionary tale. I mean, he does this. It works. Samuel comes up, but the word is you're going to die tomorrow because he did this. So you definitely don't want to do that. This reminds me of a story. I was on a mission trip once in Ecuador, visiting a friend who was a pastor then. No, he's a missionary then in Ecuador. He was leading a bunch of pastors in Ecuador. One of the guys who was a leader in one of the churches that he was helping was kind of falling to some superstition, which was common in that land. They have kind of a animistic, superstitious religion there. So this guy, the superstition there is if you drink the blood of a black dog, it'll cure heart problems if you have heart problems. So the way my friend did this is he said, we're walking all around the city. Cuenca is the city. And he says, okay, tell me if you see a black dog, because there's stray dogs everywhere. Tell me the first time you see a black dog. The whole day goes by, I don't see one black dog. Every other color dog, but no black dogs. And I'm like, okay, why are there no black dogs? And he's like, I'm glad you asked, because the superstition here is that if you drink the blood of a black dog, it'll cure heart problems. So he's working with this pastor who's a local in the area who has heart problems, has prayed, they have not gone away. And his relatives, who were largely unbelievers, were urging him to do the drink the blood of a black dog thing. And so he's urging, like, don't do that. Like, the scripture says not to do that kind of stuff. And the guy kind of breaks down and does it. And it worked. And so now the guy's like, hey, you told me not to do this, but I did it and it worked. What do you got now? And so we're trying to sort out, okay, well, it wasn't supposed to work. It worked. Like, what's going on? And where we landed was, the scripture doesn't say that stuff isn't real. The scripture just says, don't do that stuff.
Right.
And so we just have to trust the Lord's word and not do it. There's a lot of mystery as to whether that stuff works and what doesn't, but pretty clear instruction. Don't do it.
Yeah. This thought just kind of came to me, but in that scenario, and then even with this story, what the person is wanting, it seems to be they're wanting that more than they're wanting to be obedient to God. And so it seems to be that even if that does work, the real question is, will you be obedient or not? That's interesting. I guess we're prizing health and being, that more than doing what God says to do.
That's a good point.
Some thought just came to my head. Whether I should have said it, I don't know. But
I think so.
And so wondering, if the situation with Samuel or Saul, Saul and Samuel, if it seems to fit rest of Saul's story that he's just really just wanting to survive, but then also stay king at whatever cost. Have the rule, have the power, I guess. Even to the point of going to this medium. So
several times he does what appears to get him what he wants rather than what would obey God. And every time he gets it, but it destroys him each time. And I guess this is one of those times.
The last time.
The last time it definitely does. What else do you notice as you walk through the...
I think those answering about is it Samuel? Those are the big things. I think some smaller things that are more like smaller evidences, but how he talks, is very similar to how how he talked when he was alive, using a lot of the same phrases and saying a lot of the same things, and even referencing himself, like, why are you coming to me? I've already told you when I was alive, when I was with you, what was going to happen. And I feel like that was pretty, and like you said, the writer doesn't give any hints that this isn't Samuel. If anything, he makes it pretty clear that it is.
Yeah.
And I think to your point of, this is something that should not have been done. Saul before had put the mediums and necromancers out of the land.
So he was supposed to do.
He was supposed to do that, and was right to do that. For some reason, there's still this one in Endor, and Saul, it seems pretty clear that this is kind of last resort. God's not speaking to me. I'm not getting any kind of answer from him, so I'm going to try to get some answer somehow, even in the wrong way. And even in the story, when it describes what happens when the woman asks the question, who shall I bring up for you? He says, bring up Samuel for me. And then there it seems to just jump straight to Samuel coming up. It doesn't give us any description at all of how she did this, what words she used, or, any kind of what she did.
So if you were hoping for the spell, you're not going to get it.
And I think that seems to say, the writer's saying so much, you shouldn't do this. So much, I'm not even going to tell you how.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you how she did it. And maybe when he, that was it. Just they didn't want people to even know how the mediums, necromancers did their thing, because they knew it was so wrong. That kind of just that why it wasn't weren't supposed to. Earlier in Leviticus, at least probably a couple times, it says that you should not do this. They should be put out of the land and even killed if found to be doing that. So I guess if there was anything else for that you wanted to cover, I had one question about for us today. I don't think I noticed this as much in Greenwood. I will say, I think Greenwood has a strawberry festival.
Yeah,
some festival.
Maybe Franklin.
We were just walking down the road. They close off the street and have booths up throughout. And all the ones on the road were the traditional, something made of wood, something with flowers, something on a plate or something. But just kind of repeating. But then, kind of tucked away beside this building, was a tent that was to see a psychic card. I think it was tarot cards. I'm trying to think something. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So those people are there. They have the tent. Are they communicating with the spiritual world, spiritual realm? How should we? Does this story impact how we see that lady or guy at the table?
Yeah, I think so, because when she sees Samuel come up, she cries out with a loud voice, maybe implying that she's surprised it works, or maybe she recognizes it's Samuel and then figures out he's Saul, which is how the storyline goes. So there's enough deception. They're both nervous. They're deceiving each other throughout some of the story. So I think we have enough just from this story to say there's often deception in that world. At least sometimes it works, and either way, don't go near it. Yeah, and that's generally what I take away from that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think one thing that maybe makes believers struggle with was this really Samuel is the fact that he comes up, and I think most believers are going to imagine, well, wait a minute, wouldn't Samuel have come down from heaven? Wouldn't he have been in heaven and not below? So it's probably important just to briefly review the Old Testament look on that of Sheol, the land of the dead, where in Old Testament teaching, both the just and the unjust went went below to Sheol, the land of the dead, when they died. You read that in Jacob's words and many other places in Genesis and all over the place. And we get a picture of what that's like in Jesus' story of the rich man and Lazarus, where both the wicked rich man and righteous Lazarus both die. They both go below, but there's two sides of Sheol. You could think of it as the heaven side and the hell side, and there's a chasm between them, and they're talking back and forth in the chasm. So it's not inconsistent with a Christian worldview that Samuel actually went down. He went down to the righteous side of Sheol, where they were all resting and waiting for, I believe, the crucifixion and resurrection, where Jesus brought them up to heaven where they are now. So yeah, he comes up, and that's why, because of the way that Sheol worked. Yeah.
That might pose another question for me. And that definitely helps to help us explain what happens, what he says later. But in verse 19, when he tells Saul, the Israelites be given in the hand of the Philistines, and says, "Tomorrow you and your sons shall be with me."
Yeah.
What do you think he means there? Is it more in the general sense of Sheol? Or you think he's speaking so specifically of like which side they're going to end up on, the righteous? I don't know if that might be a question for another video, but
it might be. I mean, I haven't dug deep on that. My hunch is that he just means generally that they're going to die.
Yeah.
And isn't particularly speaking to which side they'll be on. But I don't know. We could look in and see.
That's how I read it too. But it would be something that I'd like to look more into as well. So
I'm in the land of the dead. You're going to be in the land of the dead tomorrow.
Yeah.